All right, so today at Content 14, I talked mainly about a philosophy that I so strongly believe in, which is they ask, you answer. And that's the philosophy that took my swimming pool company from near bankruptcy to where it is today. Today, it's the most trafficked swimming pool website in the world, and we get about 340,000 visitors a month. And it happened because we said, very simply, if anyone has ever asked us a question, whether it's good, bad, or ugly, we're going to address it. We're going to do it honestly, we're going to do it without bias, and we're going to be as open as possible. And we did it consistently, and it changed the whole game. And in every industry, this philosophy of they ask, you answer works. And the problem is most don't embrace it, especially when it comes to 5 main subjects. So there's really 5 subjects in every industry that people shy away from. Here's what they are. The first one is we don't like to talk about on our website cost and price subjects. We shy away from that. The problem with that, though, is when we ourselves go online and research something and we can't find that, it bothers us. It makes us really upset. And therefore, we don't give that company our trust. We go to somebody else. So cost is a major one, and it's amazing. We just did, here at Content 14, we just did in my keynote a poll, and we asked how many people in the audience get offended when they can't find cost and price info. And 100% said, I get offended. And then we asked how many actually talk about cost and price on their website, and about 10 people in the room raised their hand. And so it was one of those moments where everybody's like, wow, we're basically treating our customers very differently than we want to be treated. So cost questions is number 1. Problems and issues is number 2. So in other words, if anybody has ever said to you, are there any problems with this product or this service? What are the potential issues of doing this versus that, right? The next one is versus questions or comparisons. Think about how many times somebody has said, well, which would you choose if you were me? That is a comparative-based question that you should have on your website. Whether it's comparing you to your competitors, your product to other products, your method to other methods, you should talk about that stuff very openly and honestly, and again, without bias. The other ones are best questions. In other words, people love to say, what is the best such and such? What is the best way? What is the best widget? What is the best this, that, right? And then finally, reviews. We love to search for reviews of different products, different companies. We need to talk about that too. Those are the big 5, and they move every single industry. So that was the main thing that we talked about. And we also talked about how content, assuming that people are consuming it, changes the whole game. How ultimately, when we talk about all this content marketing, what we're really saying is who can build more trust and engender more trust than anybody else in their space. And we gave an example of with my swimming pool company, what we found is that if somebody read 30 pages of our website, that they would buy 80% of the time. That's because the trust was so very high. And then we talked about how we help them get to that point of 30 pages. And this is marketing's role and sales's role. Very, very important. Tomorrow here at Content 14, I'm going to be talking about this subject of buy-in, which is a huge deal. In fact, I would argue that it's the number 1 problem in the content marketing, digital marketing space right now. Because what's going on is you have people in the marketing departments, they get the vision of the way that consumers have changed, but yet people in sales, they don't quite understand it. And so they're still doing it the way it's always been done. Management doesn't quite understand it. And what's happening is a lot of companies are losing market share because they're not keeping up with the way that we behave as consumers. If a company is going to be really successful with business now and beyond, they need to embrace sales and marketing together, because sales is the ones that are hearing the questions all day. Sales is the ones that are giving the answers and should have the best answers to those questions. And until we start to see it like that, we're going to have a disconnect. Buying is huge, and it has to happen. And really, those are the issues that I'm discussing here at Content 14. Well, first of all, they need to understand what it is, the what, the how, and the why, as Simon Sinek would say, author of Start With Why. So they really, if you just tell somebody in sales, we need you to help write blog posts, that's dumb. It doesn't work like that. You can't do that. They need to understand why, how to make their job easier. And one thing that I always say is, if you want to embrace content marketing the right way, you need to have a workshop. And that workshop should be done with everybody on your staff that potentially could contribute content that answers questions all day long. Because in that workshop, they'll catch the vision, the what, the how, the why. They'll realize that it will shorten the sales cycle. Great content will. It'll make their job easier. Prospects will get less quotes. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. So if they start to say, wow, so you mean if I help with this, if we do this, it's going to save me time, my closing rates are going to go up, I'm going to benefit monetarily. So if they see that, then they're not going to resist so much, right? But if they don't see that, and if you just tell them, I need you to help me write a blog article, they're going to probably have an attitude, right? Which is understandable, Well, I think trust is the whole reason why we're at Content 14. I think trust is the whole reason why we have companies like the Content Marketing Institute, because that's all we're really talking about. That's all we're talking about is who can engender more trust than everyone else. And how does that happen? It happens by being helpful and being a great teacher, right? And so we are in an epic battle for trust every single day. And if you can engender more trust than the next guy, there's a very good chance you're going to earn their business, regardless of if you're the lowest or the high-priced one. Because ultimately, trust is where we go.